Good evening. We welcome you here to West Valley City Council meeting. We'll call our meeting to order. We note that I guess we have 6 members of our quorum present. That is a quorum. I believe Councilman Lang will join us shortly. So with that, we will go to our opening ceremony. We turn to Council Member Steve Benson.
Thank you, Mayor. Initially, I thought I'd try and find something associated with St. Patrick's Day, and when I approached the mayor about his heritage, he says he didn't have any Irish in him, so I wasn't able to find anything for St. Patrick's Day. So if you just stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance, I appreciate it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, Councilman Vincent, if you would have said the pledge with an Irish brogue, that probably would have been sufficient. But your Irish brogue probably isn't up to speed. With that, then, we go to our special recognitions. No scout troops here. I don't think any of you are in scout troops, so no other elected officials, so we're okay. Then to the minutes of March 3rd, to the council.
Mayor, I move for approval of the minutes of March 3rd, 2015.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a second. Those noted, so the motion is before us. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. The minutes are approved. Next, we go to award ceremonies and proclamations. Item 6 on our agenda. We have our Employee of the Month, and he is here tonight, and I believe that is Councilman Vincent. That's right. We have the proclamation too. So Councilman Vincent.
Yeah, this is a March Employee of the Month, and if Detective Tyler Longman would stand. And this was nominated by Sergeant Blair's office. So I'll read this, what Sergeant Barfus had to say. On February 3rd, 2015, Detective Tyler Longman attended a department training. While driving back to the office, Detective Longman heard a dispatch call for assistance involving a 9-month-old child who was not conscious or breathing. Although he was not assigned to respond, he advised dispatch that he was nearby and would offer assistance. After Longman arrived on the scene before medical personnel and other police officers, he found the front yard gate with 3 large German Shepherd dogs blocking the entrance to the residence. The mother of the child later stated that she was concerned police and fire personnel would not come through the gate due to the dogs in the front yard. Officer Longman continued towards the residence past the dogs without concern of his own safety, and entered finding the child in his mother's arms, not conscious or breathing, purple in color and completely limp. Taking the child from the mother, Officer Longman cleared the child's airway with his finger and angled the child down on his forearm. He provided multiple back blows until the child began to cry. The child was recovering when West Valley City Fire personnel arrived on scene. The child was taken to the hospital where it fully recovered from this incident. Officer Longman's actions saved the life of this 9-month-old baby and provided needed assistance to the mother in distress. Officer Longman represents what West Valley City Police Department does best: protect, serve our community. Please accept this appreciation for a job well done with the Employee of the Month. Mayor, could I just make one comment? You know, if the news media would telecast all the good things our police department does, they would know what an amazing group of men and women we have serving our community. Unfortunately, they tend to look for the things that are greater in the news, I guess, for their ratings. But we want to thank not only you, but all of our police officers for the fine way they really do represent the community, and most of the time it goes unrecognized, but we want to tell you thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have the proclamation supporting the Start by Believing public awareness campaign. Councilman Norton.
Thank you. Whereas West Valley City shares a critical concern for the victims of sexual violence and a desire to support the need for justice and healing, and whereas in 2014, the West Valley Police Department investigated a total of 116 reported rapes, and whereas research estimates that as many as 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men are the victim of rape, recognizing that most victims fail to report the crime to law enforcement. Whereas research documents that victims are far more likely to disclose the victimization to friends or to disclose their victimization to friends or family members, and when those loved ones respond with doubt, shame, or blame, victims suffer added negative effects on their physical and psychological well-being. And whereas the Start by Believing public awareness campaign is designed to improve more positive and supporting responses from friends, family members, and community professionals so victims can be better helped and supported by resources and the criminal justice system. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of West Valley City, Utah, do hereby proclaim, in concert with Police Chief Lee Russo and the West Valley City Police Department, the support of the Start by Believing public awareness campaign.
Thank you very much. With that then, we will go to the next item on our agenda, the public comment period. We will now turn to the public. We do have one person who signed up, Josh Sherman. Did I get that right?
Sherman.
Yeah. Okay.
Phonetically easy, just spelled weird. Josh Sherman, now currently 2749 South Lake Street, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84106. I was happy to hear from Kevin. I emailed him last week on an update for the agenda of the skate park. And he said last week there was a study session for the wetland mitigation, which was a big hurdle in this. And so I came here tonight just to clarify my support once again, that the skate park is a much needed asset to the city, to the citizens, to the growing population of kids here, and also for the underprivileged and the group that has little resources to playing active sports, group sports, and the need there is great here in the city. Snowboarding and skateboarding has still changed my life. I just did a fundraiser Saturday for the snowboard program for underprivileged youth, which I've done for about 7 years now. And just, it is really important that kids that do not have an opportunity to play in group sports have an opportunity to grow in non-traditional sports. Their popularity is still up and beyond the charts. If you watch the Olympics, and 8 of them, skateboarding's in them, snowboarding's in them. And it's the individual sports that have really helped me grow up and be a better person and a citizen. So I just wanted to update you. Last year, when the skate park I felt like was moving forward, I had contacted numerous companies about sponsorship of the park. We've got Citizens to purchase bricks for the park. Creative Solutions is a solar company. They were interested in doing solar panels and solar lights for the park. Drink Water, a company that started by snowboarders, to emphasize drinking water instead of energy drinks. The company, they were looking to sponsor the water fountain in the park. And I've talked to 4 design companies that were interested in working with the design to see if they can work with what we've already done. We've gone through plans with Mayor Bangeter about 15 years ago, 14 years ago. Those plans have been re-updated and paid for using the allocated space at Centennial Park, which I still think is the best place for it. And this wetland mitigation is the last real big hurdle for this, besides funding. I know if the project moves forward, we've spent $2 million for a train stop. We spent $1 million for an ice rink. We've done a lot of things for a lot of citizens. We put bonds on the cities for golf course and citizens that never golf there. As a city, we've done a lot for almost every single sport except for 2, one snowboarding, because we have no mountains here. And I learned at West Valley Park there on that hill when I was in 6th grade. So I guess we do have that, but we still have yet to have a skate park. And I know the citizens will step up if the city steps forward, and they'll purchase bricks. Companies will come out, but I've approached companies for 4 years now, and they're kind of sick of me approaching them to get sponsorship if there isn't backing from the city. So I believe if the city moves forward on this and puts it down, that we won't have any problems connecting the dots from beginning to end. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone for working on this, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you very much. With that, I believe that was all that we had for public comment. So, any comments from our city manager?
Sir, thank you.
From the council?
Mayor,
Councilman
if I
Rush.
can just throw in a comment to piggyback on Mr. Sherman's comments. I was down at City Park assisting my nephew with his new baseball team this year, and noticed city-owned park, and noticed the big signs at City Park that say no skateboarding. And a couple of them, had some crayons that tried to scratch out the no skateboarding, but I thought just how that sign there in the middle of the baseball diamond was a good reminder of how just there is a need for that in our community, and how it will be a much welcomed addition to be able to have that. And when kids show up at the baseball diamonds with their skate parks, instead of just turning them away and telling them, no, you can't skate here, we'll have a good and solid alternative to point them to where they can recreate. So I'm excited to see this move forward, and look forward to just with the resolution tonight of moving it one step forward.
Thank you. With that, then, on to item 8 on our agenda. Ordinance 15-11, amending ordinance number 1505 regarding the rezoning of property within the city. And this was related to our temporary land use regulations, where we restricted rezoning application of properties over 2 acres for any residential zone. That ordinance is set to expire in April. And with that, I don't know, Mr. Isaac, do you want to add any comments to that?
Well, just that there is...
Your microphone. Is it not on?
Thank you. Not really. I would just add or clarify that there is an application put forward by one of our developers that has asked us to, or asked the council to consider amending the ordinance that would allow him to do this development.
To the council. Councilman Vincent.
Mayor, I would just make the comment that we're very close with our new ordinance that will direct the future developments in our city, and so I would vote against this ordinance in hopes that we can just move forward with our new zoning as it comes to us here in the next few weeks.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Councilman Rush.
I'll just think out loud here a little bit, but We did have a good discussion in the previous meeting. It seems like we have a good list of where we want to take developments going in the future. I know when we did the moratorium, one of the stipulations we wanted was that we end it as soon as possible and work with people to get things done as quickly as possible and accommodate that. I look outside and see the unseasonably warm weather we have, and I can sympathize with the builder to try to start the process to get going, to move a project along, to get it on the calendar and on a timetable. I look at a project near my neighborhood that's trying to put in the road improvements and the sewer and the water improvements, and now it's taking them a lot longer than they probably thought it would. So I kind of am of the opinion that if we kind of know where things are going and it's just a matter of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and this developer wants to get started as quickly as possible, I think that we could probably accommodate it. I don't think it's going to, the city's not going to probably be affected too much either way in either case, but I think I would just try to err on the side of being accommodating. So that's just where I think I stand on it.
Let's see. Maybe a question for staff, and that is that if we were to move forward tonight, would they be required to follow what the requirements we put in place, because we are close in the next, 2 weeks?
I think it's like Mr. Rushing just commented. I think we can work with that developer to put forth any type of development that the council would consider.
Councilman Rushton, you have additional comments?
I don't know if that's the answer, and I'm struggling to on it too, but and this is just me thinking it out loud, is that in some ways they're, by them trying to time it and get back in right at the end of the moratorium, it almost puts them, I think we can time it right, but if we don't, then I think they're really opening themselves up to additional scrutiny and probably even a higher standard than if they were able to come in and just follow our ordinance. So I would say that I'm in favor of it, like I said, to err on the side of caution, just to try to time it perfectly. But if they don't hit the timing perfectly, I think they're going to be up against probably a harder thing, or even a delay by this body to get them done in those phases. Just thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Bueller.
We saw one of these a while ago. Another developer wanted to bypass the moratorium, and I think that, I can't remember if that came to a vote or they withdrew their application, but I think we continued it I think that was with the developers.
Agreed.
Request.
Request. And I think that my take on it is it's an opportunity or an attempt by the developer to beat the moratorium and get in here and get this approved, but we'll still have to approve it. But I think even if we may be inclined to say no, or this isn't what we intended, or we actually did the moratorium on purpose because we wanted to raise the standard and we expect you to meet that, I think that we should still open the door to that discussion rather than preclude that discussion. That's the way that I'm leaning.
Further discussion? Okay. Councilwoman Lang.
I guess my opinion is, with the previous developer, just from listening to our comments in study session, he pretty much knew what the end result was going to be, and that's why jumping in a little early, he's still going to be held to the standards that we're going to adopt after the moratorium. And so I think this developer will find the same thing. He may start the process, but I think we'll be able to come with the same result that we would if we waited until after the moratorium. Because we're pretty firm on what we want with these future developments.
Okay.
I'll just add that I've never seen an issue that probably doesn't matter as much as this one, because I think we are going to get what we want eventually with, the type of housing standards we get, but it is an interesting discussion. But, we're a deliberative body, and somebody asks me to deliberate on something, like, sure, bring it up, let's talk about it. So I guess with that, I'll put my money where my mouth is then and deliberate, and I say we, and move that we approve ordinance 15-11.
Second.
Further discussion? We have the motion properly before us, so no further comments? Ready to vote on it, okay. Then, ordinance 15-11 regarding the rezoning of property within the city. Maybe we'll take roll call vote.
Mr. Vincent?
No.
Mrs. Lang?
Aye.
Mr. Bueller?
Aye.
Mr. Hume?
Aye.
Mr. Rushton?
Aye.
Mr. Nordfeld?
Aye.
Mayor Biglaw?
No. Motion passes 5-2. Okay, with that approved, that ordinance 15-11 has been approved, we now go to resolutions. Resolution 15-46. This is to authorize the city to enter into a wetland credit purchase agreement with Warner Mitigation Bank for the purchase of wetlands credits. And this will impact the Centennial Park, approximately 2.64 acres. Excuse me. It's a 4.1 acre wetland mitigation, and I have to read through all of this, but it approves the purchase of 2.64 wetland credits for $184,800 to meet the requirements for developing Centennial Park. And this is in conjunction with the skate park. So with that, that's the introduction to it. Any further discussion or action or comments on this resolution 15-46?
Mayor, I would move for approval of resolution 15-46.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. The motion is properly before us. Any further discussion? Councilman
I'll
Rushton.
just add, this area has seen a lot of growth in the past few years, and certainly if we can take a lake that Russ Brooks used to water ski on and put a Target store there, we can certainly mitigate and be environmentally responsible to accommodate the expansion of Centennial Park and the skate park.
Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll place it for a vote. All in favor of approving resolution 15-46 to authorize the purchase of wetland credits, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. We go now to resolution 15-47 to approve a cooperative agreement with UDOT for Parkway Boulevard 3100 South I-215 Bridge Deck Rehabilitation Project. Some work needs to be done there in conjunction with that overpass over I-215, and this would enter into an agreement since anything that goes over the freeway apparently is the responsibility of UDOT, or at least they have say over it, even though we do the work. I believe that funds for that will come, or at least they will provide some funds there. It looks like $100,000 in conjunction with that. So with that introduction, to the council for comment, discussion, action, whatever you feel like tonight.
Mayor, I move for approval of resolution 15-47.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second. We've got the second before us. Motion is there before us properly. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, we'll place it for a vote. All in favor of approving Resolution 15-47 to enter into a cooperative agreement with UDOT for the bridge deck rehabilitation project, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. The resolution is approved. We now move to Resolution 15-48 to award a contract to Granite Construction for the Parkway Boulevard and 3100 South I-215 Bridge Deck Rehabilitation Project. And this one is $310,000 in total, with $100,000 coming from the state. And Granite won the bid on that, so this would award the contract to them. So, further discussion or comment on Councilman Bueller?
I missed the discussion on this last week. I'm just wondering if the work under the contract includes removing the political signs that are still on the overpass over the freeway there.
I would imagine yes.
Hope so.
Well, you need to clarify that it is probably not in the contract,
It might be damaged.
It might be damaged during the work.
but someone might take them down. Yeah, there's a few of those left up around the city. Maybe we ought to commission one of the high schools to do it or something. They'd love that. Okay.
I'll move for approval of
There we go. Motion to approve.
Resolution 15-48.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Motion is properly before us. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, then we will place for a vote Ordinance 15-48. All in favor of approving the award of a contract to Granite Construction for the bridge deck, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. The resolution is approved. Next on our agenda is our consent agenda. Two items, resolutions 15-49 and 15-50. Both of these are temporary construction easements. They're fairly routine, temporary in nature, allowing us to continue work that's going on in that location.
Mayor, I'll move approval of the two items of our consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have the second before us. Any further discussion? All in favor then of approving our consent agenda, the two resolutions, 15-49, 15-50, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. Those resolutions and our consent agenda are approved. We do not have a need for an executive session. Any further comments from the council? Seeing none, then, one final motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passed unanimously. We are adjourned.